Hello. It's time for the third one. That's how we're going to start this.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of
So we're told about the Lords of Cinder. So this is important. I'm going to probably focus a little more on lore in this one.
And the lords go without thrones.
Because you have a good base now, and I think that I think it'd just be fun. I just like doing it. The lore is the funnest part of these games for me, to be honest.
When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old Lords of Cinder from their graves.
So the Lords of Cinder rise when the link of fire is threatened. So when the flame fades.
Aldrich, Saint of the Deep.
These lords rise once again. Some grape jelly.
Farron's
Some
undead
extras.
legion, the Abyss Watchers.
Big boy.
And the reclusive lord of the profaned capital. Yom the Giant. Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones. And
And we see someone putting on what appears to be a blindfold of sorts, with some kind of swirling vortex on the inside.
Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
Ash seeketh embers. So we are unkindled ash. Unfit even to be cinder. Let's be Bob again. I'm probably also going to start night. Just because it'll make it easier to show what's happening. I'm also going to go with the white branch because I like it the most. Yeah, it's good. I don't care what Bob looks like. He is but a vessel. Cinder will awake. But in truth, they'll abandon their thrones, and the unkindled ash will rise. So we see our little coffin here. I am going to... Oh, okay. I'm not sure I actually hit a button there, but alright. That's good enough. What? Who's happening? That seems to be way too sensitive. I don't know what's going on there. This. I just tried to two-hand my weapon the way that Elden Ring two-hands weapons. There. Clear this out first. If I die because I'm trying to jump over something, I swear. So it gives you a very clear warning to just not even bother with this place. Oh, I keep doing the two-hand thing. Because of our large and in charge friend here. My rolling is probably going to be atrocious. Roll timings in Elden Ring are quite different. I'm probably going to be entirely too late. Okay. It's not that difficult, especially because shield. Three swings in after keeps her around. The attack, I got staggered again. He's not that hard to kill. And he drops the Titanite scale, which is useful for boss weapons. And I think some others. I'm not really sure. But it's useful. I'm actually going to equip. Wash the crystal lizard blood off of me. So this first area is quite easy with the exception of the crystal lizard, which can be a little difficult, but it's not that big a deal. And it gives you a healthy chunk of souls, which makes your first leveling that much sweeter. So speaking of leveling, this bonfire we can literally do nothing at, but this game both earlier and later games. Dark Souls 2 did this, where we don't actually have the ability to upgrade brother at the bonfire anymore. There's an individual being who does the leveling with us. So that's the way it was in Demon's Souls, that's the way it was in Dark Souls 2, that's the way it was in Bloodborne. kind of the way it's suited. My timing is really off. And this kind of pseudo the way it is in Elden Ring too. It's a formula that works well for these games. I should note that I made an improvement since the last game, where now I can actually hear the game I'm playing, and it really does make things a lot easier. Like, I could tell that guy was coming up behind me because I could hear him. So that will hopefully help me out. Help me not embarrass myself as much as I'm sure I'm going to. So we'll run, we'll jump off right between those two rocks. Grab Titanite Shard, which is super useful for later on. And by later on, I mean like in the next 20 minutes. And crossbow guy. Alrighty. So now we fight Venom. One of the strats is taking the fire bombs as your gift, and then you can use them in his second phase. The second phase is weak to fire, so pyromancers have a pretty easy time with him. I mean, he's not exactly a terribly difficult boss, but I would say, you know, this compared to Asylum Demon, this feels like a more legal boss. So just do hands. Swing. A better starting boss too. I think it teaches good things right off the bat. He has very like telegraphed attacks, which make it easy to learn roll timings and things like that. You can also parry him if you want to parry him. And I think that he can be fought with any playstyle with good success. So it's not like one build has a specific strength or weakness to fighting him. Like, this is so pretty, man. So we see a large castle looming in the distance. We woke up kind of behind / underneath it. But all of this is shrouded in fog. We see some kind of mountainous landmass down there. This seems to just be sheer cliff into nothing. Here seems to be sheer cliff into nothing. And then we see mountains over there. They seem very, very high up, but overall seem to be very disconnected from things. Even this castle seems to be very disconnected from the side that we're on here. So there's that there. with my, I guess I'll call it a lack of experience in this game. I'm not as experienced with going to be maybe less informative. This is going to be more of a playthrough and less of a walkthrough. Just because I'm not as knowledgeable with this. I'm going to try to show as much and teach as much as I can, but it's going to serve, I think, more as a guide physically through the world and less as a combat guide. Still is going to be very open-ended in terms of how you want to play. But I'll do a lot of explanation, as much as I can, so we see what might be a familiar sword. Maybe against this grave. But anyway. So I won't go in here just yet. I'll come over here first. And there's an item on this tree. But before we grab the item, so if you grab that item here, it's going to get these guys, it's going to wake them up. Jump ya. So grab that. There's this goober over here, who will probably wreck you if you try and fight him now, and I'm sitting on 7,500 souls, and I'd have to walk all the way back from the eunuchs. So I'm just going to ignore him for now. We'll fight him in a minute. Come down here. Yeah, that's the grave site. So over here. So then I'm on this. Okay, I think that's everything I want. Oh, there's an invisible wall there. Alright. So now we see a throne. Let's walk in. Firelink Shrine. So that may be a familiar name. If you remember, Firelink Shrine is where we arrive from the Undead Asylum in Dark Souls 1. Now this looks substantially different than what we saw in that time. But interesting to note that it shares the name. Dr. Hawkwood.
Ah, another one roused from the sleep of death.
That's right.
Well, you're not alone. We unkindled are worthless.
We can't
Can't even die right. Gives me conniptions. And they'd have us seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. But we're talking true legends with the metal to link the fire. Not fit to lick their boots. Don't you think?
So, the Lords of Cinder are previous lords. So just like Lord Gwyn, who linked the fire originally, and, you know, theoretically us in the past, who linked the fire again to perpetuate the Age of Fire, to perpetuate the Age of Light. These lords have also done the same. So each one of these lords is someone who gave themselves to the fire to perpetuate the age. So we see that we need to bring together all of these lords. We need to fill all these thrones. We see that one throne has somebody on it right now, but we see 4 empty thrones. And so it seems from the information that we have that we need to bring 4 Lords of Cinder. So Lord Gwyn was a Lord of Cinder after he linked the fire, and it only took him to perpetuate the Age of Fire. After that, we became a Lord of Cinder, following in his footsteps, theoretically. And it only took us to become a Lord of Cinder before the Age of Fire could be perpetuated. Now it seems like it takes 5 lords in order to keep the Age of Fire going.
What a sick joke. Asking us to seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. We're talking true legends, those who would link the fire. We're not fit to lick their boots.
Speak for yourself, Hawkwood. Sword sheathed. So we see a woman in black garb who has some form of ornate blindfold. She has white hair. Looks very similar to the figure we saw in the opening cinematic, putting on some kind of ornate blindfold that had some kind of swirling vortex within.
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one. I'm a firekeeper. I tend to the flame and tend to thee. The lords have left their thrones and must be delivered to them. To this end I am at thy side.
So she is a firekeeper. Just like Anastasia, and the Dark Moonitis, and the Fair Lady before, she is a firekeeper and is linked, at least in theory, to this smoldered out, burnt out bonfire here.
Very well. Then
So-
touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
So this is how we level up. We are to access the darkness within the Firekeeper in order to do so. What darkness means in the Dark Souls universe has its own implications, I suppose you could say. I'll leave that a little open-ended for now. So she has this little mantra she speaks as we channel these sovereignless souls. So your early levels are always important because right now we can put 6 points into anything we want, because our cost to level is very cheap this early on. So my suggestion for early levels is always going to be pump some points into Vigor just to get your health up. You can see with that we go up over 200 points in our HP. So we have Vigor, which is our HP. We have Attunement, which is for your spell slots, as well as how much FP you have. So FP is used to cast spells. So in Dark Souls, spells just had uses, which made it really hard for spell builds to be really useful. because you only had so many uses of a particular spell before you were out. So this allows you to cast whatever spell as many times as you want, but you're governed by this FP, this resource. And so the blue Estus flasks allow you to replenish that, but you have to split them between your health and your FP. You have endurance, which is your stamina, your vitality, which is physical defense, but it's not that big a deal for that. But it raises your equip load. So in this game, your endurance and vitality, they've been split into two stats, where vitality allows you to carry, to have more on your person, whereas endurance is just your stamina. So endurance increases how much stamina you have access to, whereas vitality increases how much you can wear while still maintaining a fast or a mid-roll. And then strength is strength, dex is dex, into faith, and then luck affects your drop rate. So you have a higher chance of discovering items off of corpses, and it also increases the effectiveness of bleeds. So luck builds, you go with, you can do different infusions in this game too on weapons that affect different things, but you can do bleed builds where you just pump a bunch of luck and then you can basically just rip through enemies with the bleed build up. But I think I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to put a couple points into endurance to get some more stamina. I think that's what I'm going to go with for the start here.
Ashen One, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls. Sovereignless souls will become thy strength. I will show thee how. Ashen One, bring me souls plucked from their vessels.
So, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls.
Ashen One, I will show the Ashen One.
Ashen One.
Farewell, Ashne the Flame.
So, if we inspect this bonfire, we can embed the Coiled Sword. So this is what we pulled out of the Unix. And now we have our central bonfire. So, Dark Souls 3, while Firelink and Dark Souls 1 kind of was always a hub, and, I kept coming back to it, we kept coming back to it, checking on your NPCs and all that kind of stuff. Firelink in this game is far more of a true hub. So after you're completing a section, you're coming back here, you're leveling up, you're visiting maybe an old friend, you're talking to, maybe somebody up there, you're doing things in here kind of constantly, so you're going out into the world, you're coming back into here, and you're just kind of going back and forth within the hub and the world to progress. And so that's a little different from Dark Souls, where it was kind of more a sprawling world. This is a little more of a funnel. That doesn't mean that it can't still be that it can't be overwhelming. It still absolutely can, but it's definitely a lot more linear than Dark Souls 1. So we've got
a pleasure to make thine acquaintance, Ashen One. I am but a humble handmaid of the shrine. Weapons, armor, trinkets, and spells. I've lots of little things to ease the burden of a weary traveler. And yes, I'm undead too. but not so charitable as to give my goods away, Ashen One. Fetch souls, and as is thy wont.
So we have the handmaid here. So she sells just kind of helpful consumables and things like that. Wouldn't be a bad idea to grab a torch. In fact, I will. Just because that'll come in handy at a certain point, and I don't want to be caught without one. This is something new to Dark Souls, coming from Dark Souls 1, but torches were very impactful in Dark Souls 2, but you had to light them at the bonfire, and they had time limits on them, like literal real-world time limits, which was interesting. But she sells shields, she sells some basic spells and miracles, some basic weaponry, so if you wanted to try a scimitar you could. So the white signs to soapstone flatline, which I'll also grab. And like fire bombs, which are good. Actually, I'll grab 5 of those too, just to finish off. And she sells the tower key, which is useful and important, but it costs 20,000 souls, so we'll leave that be for now. So she would be a familiar face if you did Dark Souls 2. They are in the starting area, her and her kid, but it's just kind of more of a this whole starting hub is kind of a bit of a walk down memory lane for Souls players, just because that was what they wanted to start off with, and that's kind of the biggest criticism that the game gets, is that people argue that it relied too much on the success of 1, and they brought back a whole bunch of things from 1 in order to make this one feel like it's also good. But I don't know, Dark Souls 1 was a good game. I feel like this builds on what Dark Souls 1 achieved very well, while still having enough of Dark Souls 2 that it made it feel like Dark Souls 2 was a part of the world, even though it never really felt like it was. Again, that's very touchy. Jeez, why is that button so touchy? It feels... I know this isn't important, but it actually feels really like... It almost feels looser. It feels easier to push than the other one. This one has more rigidity to it. There are... I don't know, maybe this controller needs to be updated or something. Anyway, not important. So, we see a dear friend.
Well, a newcomer, I see. I am Andre. I serve at this shrine as a humble smith, forging weapons. You're in search of the Lords of Cinder, I trust. A toilsome journey, I'd wager. You require good arms. Let me smith you weapons. I am a smith. Such is my purpose.
So, yeah, this is why it gets the criticism it does. So it's literally just Andre again. So you can upgrade your longsword right away for one of your shards. And 220 souls. Oh my goodness. I'm very tired. And then we have infusions where we can do some different things. So this would be the argument for the fire gem, is that you can do a fire infusion right away. So what it does is it strips the scaling off the weapon and it gives it split damage. But the split damage is quite a lot of damage. And early on in the first couple of areas, the enemies don't really have a lot of split resistances. So it can be very beneficial early on, but not so much that I would say it's worth taking it early. There's a weapon that we can pick up really early that has split damage that is also very good. So there's repairing in this game too, but repairing in this game is not really something you have to worry about at all. Your equipment will repair when you rest at a bonfire anyway. And so here we can allot our Estus. So you can put however many into Ashen as you wish, or into regular as you wish. So I'm just going to go full into regular Estus. And then we have reinforcing the Estus. So here...
Pretty be careful, I don't want to...
we have two different means of reinforcing our Estus. So we no longer kindle the bonfires. So when we used to kindle, it would give us a chunk of uses on our flasks. So right now I have, it shows 3. I have 4 uses, and I just switched one over. And when we come to Andre with shards, we'll be able to increase the number of flasks that we have access to. So we'll increase our number of flasks from him, and then through the bonfire at Firelink Shrine here, we'll be able to increase the potency of said flasks. So there's nothing else in here to do right now. I will go up here and say a quick hello to Lilith.
All that unkindled, and a seeker of lords. I am Ludleth of Corland. Look not in bewilderment as I say. I linked the fire long ago, becoming the Lord of Cinder. If substantiation be thy want, set thine eyes upon my charmed course. This sad cadaver, no need to be coy. Have a closer look.
So he confirms what we have been led to believe by the opening cutscene and by what Hawkwood says, and by what we see, that the Lords of Cinder indeed have linked the flame in the past and must come together to do it once again. We also see that he seems to no longer have legs. Whether that is to keep him here, or he never had them, or they were destroyed in his pursuit of linking the flame.
Knowest thou of our purpose? 5 thrones will take 5 lords as kindling for the linking of the fire. The fast-fading flame must be linked to preserve this world. A reenactment of the first linking of the fire. So it is, I became a Lord of Cinder. I may be but small, but I will die a Colossus. Knowest thou of fire? Treat the fire, she is much like thee. Prisoners both, kept to link the fire.
So he tells us not to be discourteous to the Firekeeper, because she, like us, is trapped here. Now, what does he mean by here? So I said how outside this place doesn't really seem that directly connected to anything. Maybe it's possible that we're trapped in some kind of weird space, forced to link the flame. We are, like the Firekeeper, trapped here to perpetuate the Age of Fire. That's the implication that Lilith would have us believe anyway. Whether or not that's true remains to be seen.
Asher produced the coiled sword at the bonfire. The mark of ash will guide thee to the land of the lords. To Lothric, where the homes of the lords converge.
So she says where the homes of the lords converge. So that's kind of an interesting way of putting things, almost as though it's not necessarily where the lands of the lords share borders, but more of where they almost amalgamate. She also says that the bonfire will bring us to Lothric. But
Ashen One, so I was Ashen. Farewell, Ashen. Ashen, produce the mark of ash to Lothric.
Yeah. So she just says that the
Farewell,
mark of ash will bring us to Lothric, the lands where the homes of the Lords of Cinder converge. Now, that would suggest that we're not in Lothric. So where we are remains to be seen. So I'm going to stop postulating on lore and just get into some menu stuff and then first zone stuff. So attuned spell, same as Dark Souls 1. That's where we can put our spell if we had one. We get access to the storage box immediately without having to buy it. So you can put stuff that you're not going to use in here. And then we have a burn undead bone shard. So that's how we're going to increase the potency of the Estus Flask, is by burning undead bone shards. That's how this game works. So we're going to travel. Right off the bat, we have access to fast travel in this game, which was also controversial. Whereas in Dark Souls you had to play for quite a while before getting it. I mean, literally half the game, really. We have the ability right away, but we can only teleport to bonfires we've already been, with the exception of the High Wall of Lothric, which is our first zone, so it just gives us that in order to get us started here. Actually, I just realized I missed some starting stuff. So we wake up in this room where there isn't a bonfire. And the door is closed. And we see this basin, this maybe this vessel. Maybe it's a vessel. Could be a vessel of some kind. And what looks to be a coiled sword. So the coiled sword is what we pulled out of the Unix and used to rekindle the fire at Firelink Shrine. And it's what we see in the bonfires around the world. So we'll open this door. So if we look at this vista, it looks very similar to the castle structure, especially here. The castle structure that we saw when we first came out from the Unix boss fight. And we were on the other side of it, it seems, behind it. So this is the high wall of Lothric. And we have our bonfire. Just two things I want to do. then don't worry about the fog. Just loading the area takes longer to load the full area, including this and outside when traveling. So it just puts up a fog wall for a little minute until it loads the outside area too. So this is another Dark Souls 2 nod. So these were prevalent in Dark Souls 2, not exactly hugely important, but you know, like I said, this area is kind of has the bulk of the nods to the previous game series. So right here we have a tree. Full disclosure, I'm going to do this for a minute. There we go. That was way faster than I thought I was going to take. So you want to kind of run, no, big forever. You kind of want to run straight at the tree until you start to go up it, and then jump and turn as you're jumping. You can see there's a little ladder there. There is another way to access this area, but there's some good stuff to have starting off. So it's good to get this stuff right out of the gate. There we go. It may take some time and some tries. So we can grab that. We can come down here. And we can come in the rafters of the Firelink Shrine. So we can see everything down there. Walk across the rafters.
Me, pickled pea. Me, bumperum.
So here we have Pickled Pea and Bumperum, the crows, in this game. And we can pick up an Estus shard there. So you can trade items with them, you can drop it, and then reload, and then they'll trade you items. It's only specific things that you can trade. But nothing that's super important. Spell. Whoa. Spell leads to illusory walls, walk across and fall down. We get this treasure chest here, which has the silver serpent ring. And so Dark Souls 3 has 4 ring slots, which is one of the reasons why the whatever the tiny beings ring is in this game, whatever they call it, isn't so bad as a starting gift, because you're not going to replace it anywhere near as quickly as you would in Dark Souls OG. So, you know, it's a reasonable thing to consider, but I don't think it's that much. I don't think like 100, not even 100, I think it's like 50 health is really going to make that big a difference. If you're dying over 50 health, then maybe a ring isn't going to change anything. Okay, so I did that, and I want to go kill the master. I also want to look at the Estus shard. So a shard soaked in Estus, give to the blacksmith, whatever. In the old days it was rare to see an Estus flask far from its owner, but this shard offers hope, however shattered. So time has clearly, a lot of time has clearly passed in the old days. So it seems to be referring to Dark Souls here, but it calls it the old days. So a lot of time has gone on since the original time of the undead. trace of the bonfires. No journey of import has been made without an Estus flask. Turns a bonfire's heat cold. So in this game we have Embers. So no unkindled can ever truly claim the embers that burn within a champion's bosom, which is precisely what makes their yearning for warmth so keen. So these are our humanity in this game. It does essentially the same thing, where it gives us it kind of restores our air quotes intended form, so it increases the amount of HP that we have, which is a little more impactful than original Dark Souls, but if you're playing offline, it's not that big a deal. Also, it's not quite a level of like Demon Souls, where if you didn't have your human form, you're missing out on a huge portion of your HP. It's still a lot, and you probably want to use one before you fight a boss. But anyway, it's something to keep in mind, is that you're always going to have a little less HP when you're not embered up. But it's interesting that it says that as unkindled, we can never truly claim the embers that burn within a champion's bosom, maybe meaning that as unkindled, we can never really be one to link the fire. One of the Lords of Cinder has already linked the fire, that the strength of that, the power of that burns within them. And so with these, we kind of imitate that warmth. We achieve some small semblance of that warmth, that power with these. But flask.
Tis good this love needs.
Of course. There we go. I have 5.
Pretty be careful. I go.
I want to make sure that I'm turning away from NPCs so I don't accidentally stab one. Alright, so I'm going to come up here. Maybe. Hello. Okay. So we'll come back out here. I'm gonna kill him. Just in case they get involved here. I'm gonna go here, lock on. I'm gonna stand here. Oh, he's walked too far. I almost fell off. So it is possible to get him to fall off. Ow. Oh, I forgot how bad this was turning out. It is possible to get him to just straight up fall off. Fall off the edge. I don't know that I'm going to be able to pull that right now, because I suck at parrying. There we go. That's the easiest way to deal with him. Just get him out of here. Alright, so then I'm going to come up here. Yeah, see, that is so touchy. I don't know why that's the way it is right now. So the PlayStation 5, the buttons can be very like they can change, like the tension that they have and things like that, the resistance that they give can change, and different games can take control over that. And so I'm wondering if that has happened, and I don't know, it's like set to a weird point, or maybe my controller's breaking. I don't know. That's something funky. So I'm just gonna quit and reload real quick. Doesn't help that I also always keep my fingers rested on the bumpers, but anyway. So then we can pick up the Uchigatana and the Master's Set. So the Master's Set is worthless, but the Uchigatana is the Uchigatana. So it requires 16 decks, but levels don't cost a whole lot, and we already have 12. So we only need 4 points in dexterity to be able to use the Uchigatana. Okay. Am I going down too far? No. So I think we can get one level just a consumable soul for another. I think you can, in this game, yeah. So you can see souls and then required souls. So it shows how much we have and how much we need to actually get a level. I'm probably just going to take the one and not
welcome speak.
Consumables.
Very well, then taken.
So I'm going to start this dexterity.
Farewell, Ashen One.
And then we'll head back to the high wall. So, first thing first, this is the way forward, but we're going to turn around and go behind us. So there's stairs right here, but we're going to come out to this broken part and kill this guy. Shooting us the whole time, so that's the stairs there leading down. So there's these two dogs, there's a big guy with an axe that patrols up these stairs and back down. Yeah, there he is. And there's another big guy with a halberd down on the other side. And then on top of that, there's those weirdos. This dog's coming to us. Come on, bud. You got this. You got this. Will be the worst enemies in these games. Most annoying. Okay, so axe guy is going back down. I'm going to roll off this way. Kill this dog. Albert guy gets down the stairs. And then I want to stay this end of the whole section here, just to make sure the other guy doesn't come up the stairs on the other side before I kill this guy. And he has to come back, so let's do this. So I'm going to two-hand. So you see that guy over there. At least not wearing a shirt. So there's this guy here, both wearing tunics. And then there's the one guy with one nice crossbow guy. We're gonna run straight for him. Hands, but he's shirtless. So there's the two tunic wearers, and there's this guy without a shirt. Right away, because he's going to pull the same thing that happened with Eunuch's Gundyr, where the pus of man is going to burst out of him, and he's going to also turn into venom. You can see. Black blood coming out. So we get a bow, which is very nice. Pitiful souls. It's called the runes. I feel like there's going to be a lot of little Elden Ring slips. And right here is a shortcut, but we can't open it from this side, so we'll leave that alone for now. Alright, and I'll go back up. So we can rest back that way, so it's fine to respawn all those enemies, and you can get your health back and your flasks back if you had to use any or whatever, and then run forward. Aggressive towards you. Some of the enemies here that are passive and just kind of waving their arms around coming for you when you get that little thing. Makes it easier if you just kill him right away and then take them out. Ooh, a raw gem. That's really, really good. Sure, I went all the way back around for 33 souls, but here we are. It's the same thing. We got him with the lantern over there, so I'm going to run straight for him. And then I can just kind of... corpse here. Very cool dragon corpse. Come up these stairs real quick. So there's an enemy right there, which is going to be a bait to get you. But as that guy screams and swings his lantern around, both of these guys will run towards you, while I think at least two of them will stand up for one of the dragon. So you just pull a whole bunch. Binoculars, which will be useful. And then we're going to come over here behind the dragon. The very crunchy dragon. And we're going to drop down here. So right to here. And then we have this little opening here. Grab the little pine resin, which is super helpful. And then this is where we came from. So this is where we killed the little guy who was screaming. That's the bonfire up there. And there's the crunchy dragon. So there's a guy right there, and this guy right there. I'm going to kill this guy first. Here, boxes. Grab this. And come down here. Could have just dropped, I suppose. Grab this. Alright. So what I suggest doing is healing up and running and running and running and running. There you go. Grab some of those items between his fire breaths. His fire breaths instantly kill you. Jumps. Not used to. I'm not used to. Don't think the same thing. You can just jump over. It doesn't really matter. If you wanted to skip that, I don't even know. Item. Another spot. I can think of another spot. So remember our tell for mimics. Coiled, then we're safe. No, it's perfectly normal for chests to breathe. It gets stuffy in there. You need to air out the treasure. Alright, so moves to the sword. Four swings in. Ooh, master now. Gonna circle, get a hit in. He does the guard, and you want to make sure you don't grapple. But also, so we have the stats for this. This is the weapon that I said has the split damage and same thing. For them to really resist both well. So this is definitely a reasonable weapon to try early. It does, again, suffer from the same issue that Dark Souls 1 has with axes and clubs and the like, where when you don't hit something, you're still going to get that stagger, where it's going to just be a little bit longer. But this game doesn't have it as bad. Like, you can barely really see the difference. So, let's just run with this for a second. These guys are quite tough. Shield dash remotely. Hit ow. Oh. So that's a Dark Souls 3. So backstab animation, but I didn't actually get the backstab. So I took 2 swings instead of 3. But I essentially did the backstab animation, but he didn't get backstab, he just walked away from me. They put in some protection so that it didn't look like you were going to be backstabbed on your screen, but it also had the side effect of making it so sometimes if you catch an enemy you'll still do the animation, but it won't actually do anything, or you'll just the first bit. So if we come here, we're going to leave that item alone for now. We'll come right up here. There's the bonfire. Some things. Probably will go back just to spend what souls I have. It's 2 levels anyway. Is that a full 2?
Welcome home.
Full 2.
Very well, then take...
Oh, it is. Okay. So let's put this in the decks.
Farewell, Ashen One.
I enjoy dex builds too, so doing the same as yours isn't going to be a detriment to me. I've never, well, I shouldn't say I've never been one for strength weapons. I haven't been one for strength weapons since my first playthrough, really. I've done different strength builds, but I always tend to go with dex builds. I just enjoy them. I find there's a more interesting array of fun weapons to... Jeez, that is so touchy. Fun weapons to use with dexterity. In Dark Souls 3 there's quite a good variety of dexterity weapons too, which makes it more fun to do dexterity. Dark Souls 1, the choices were pretty limited. Across all builds, really. There's a good variety of weapons. Makes dex builds more fun and more varied. Careful coming in because that knight's going to be back here, so let's let him walk out and then ignore this guy. I'm actually going to go down to the next level and kill this one. This one. Before I go back up to get that weapon. Just because walking out on that beam can sometimes get you aggroed. They can wind up getting aggroed to you when they see you walk out on this beam right over top of them. And then they start throwing knives at you while you're trying to pick up your firebombs. So straight out here is the way forward, but we're going to go down here just for a second. We got another halberd guy. You fully drop your guard. Backstab. So we have a locked cell there. Just run straight through. So these are explosive barrels, so if he throws a firebomb at these, they'll all explode. They can just one-shot you without these throwing knives. happen, but you know. And so we have somebody in a cell that is locked. We'll be back. Or will we? Tune in next time to find out. Alright, so now we'll go this way forward. So there's the ladder. Oh. He's there, but he's apparently protesting. Okay, so here, I'm also going to do this. I don't want any of that. I want embers and one more bones. There we go. All right. So here we have something similar going on to what we saw before. We have a bunch of them all in tunics, and then we have one guy without a shirt on. There are a couple, I think, without shirts on, but this guy is the most prominent. This is the guy we see. So we're going to run straight to him. If he was starting to pick it up. We almost got his transformation up. When he does, it'll maybe have a shockwave around him. Plus we'll burst out crazy and kill all these guys. Something to note he doesn't get any items from these guys, but when the plus goes wild and he transforms, you can get like Titanite shards and things like that from him. So if we're confident enough, it would be worth letting him transform in order to get some items potentially. Also, you can let him you can run up until he starts to stand, run back, go up the ladder, stand up there, and as he runs over, you just lock on and throw a firebomb at him. And you just keep doing that until he dies. You do it. So we're going to go over this side of the roof. All the way around this way. Sticking to this wall so that the crystal with it starts to run in. Exactly what I wanted to have happen, but almost. So you basically want to, I should have sprinted. Once I came back here, I should have sprinted down this way and then around, and then that way he would have come back up this way, just so you don't run the risk of falling off. Patrolling. See some pathways around, some items. Beautiful vistas. Here, here. As we walk out, the knight's gonna walk out from there. And this is a spear guy with a tower shield. That's a dork. The added benefit. before I go that way, I'm going to come this way. There's a guy there. Shoot through. Alrighty. Easier if you come up here and kill this guy first so he's not shooting you while you're trying to fight that guy. Come back down. There's a guy right here. Chest in the jar. Come out here. There's a guy here. Right there. Alright. Break those and come up this way. One of the dogs is mad at me down there. Come down here. Like this. Which is a straight sword. Which, depending on your build, it requires 12 faith, but can also be a good weapon. It has a lot of base damage. So from here, we can do some ranged stuff. So I'm gonna go fire bombs, my arrows, my throwing knives. It might not actually work if I don't work on it. Dog's gonna find a way up to me. So is he apparently. Yeah, there you go. Oh, there it is. Can't hit him from here. Okay, these two. There's the dog. So dog's dead, halberd guy's dead. This guy's been shot. Just gonna stand there. Can you not walk out just like a little bit? Okay. Tell that guy because he'll drop fire bombs down at me if I don't. I'm gonna wait for that guy to cycle back outside. So there's a dog right here, but he's not, or at least he shouldn't focus on me. What's good about this? Hello? Oh, there we go. Woke up. The dark damage is good for staggering. Cell key, which is what we need to open the locked cell that we saw with the guy in it. This guy. What I was thinking of. This is also important for the rest of shard. I'm going to come over here. I don't know if I have left for this to be worth my time. thing where it's going to shuffle you forward. It's going to push you forward a little bit every time you use consumable. It's going to make you take a little bit of a step forward. So you just want to keep making sure you shuffle back a little bit and then good idea. You go back to walking. Negative damage. Ow! You and your tiny little wings go back to walking. Souls, to be fair. Okay. Anything else on this level that I need to get? Yes. Grab the silver kite shield. Which is just a strictly worse version of the Night Shield, but does have a lower strength requirement if for whatever reason you're doing that. And it deals more damage, which is always a very important stat to look for in your shields, how much damage they deal. There's a guy here who's going to run out. Hello? There you go. Alright. Then we can come back out here. Rest this, which is good. Bunch of corpses. Now that winged knight is dead, so we can freely explore this area. An ember, which is super useful. Ember. Forward, I'll come up here. I have this. And I think this is a ring of sacrifice. Oh. Oh boy. Okay. Well, if I screw this jump up again, I'm gonna die. So, you know. Oh my god. I need to see if I can fix this controller. I don't have any means of healing myself. Alright. What could go wrong? Whoopsie. So that. Yeah, that could go wrong. That's that. Yep, that's what could go wrong, folks. Alright, let's do a... Well, actually... I'm gonna pretend that was planned. Right. Let's come free our friend. Smart. Okay. Hello.
You're no jailer, are you? No, you're from far away. And judging by the bell, you must be some of that unkindled ash.
Sure am.
Remarkable. If that's true, then I have a favor to ask. Below the high wall is a musty little town. Not the home of any lord, just a very old settlement of undead. An old woman, Loretta, lives there. Please, give her this ring.
I would be...
I'm not asking for charity. In fact, if you do this for me, I'll be sure to repay you in kind.
Of course, but...
I may be a petty thief, but I've more wits than most royalty.
It wouldn't take much.
What do you say then, huh?
Of
Very
course.
well. I humbly place my faith in you. I am Grey Rat of the Undead Settlement, and I promise to assist you.
Oh.
Give this ring to old Loretta at the base of the high wall. Do your part, and I'll do mine.
Wait a second. If you could disintegrate the whole time, why are you in this cell? I mean, there's an actually need to do that. It's just a game, but it's kind of funny that he just disapparates after being locked in a cell the whole time. So that's our good friend Grey Rat. He is one of our trusty NPCs that we will find back at our home base. Once I go and get my souls and all that garbage. Gonna stubbornly stay down at the bottom again? What's wrong with you? I should probably still... Side. I'm just gonna come here, grab this, and down. Almost die again. That was funny. Oh god, please no. Oh god, please no. See, I was just pretending that I had a hard time with that jump. I suppose I probably could just drop down here and then jump it over from here. That's even more difficult. sees me. Oh. His footsteps hurried up there. Okay. So there's an ambush here. Hit him. Shortcut, which leads to the spot that I pointed to earlier. Well. Alright, roll our back to Firelink. Alright, so the easiest way to do
Welcome, husband.
any of
Very
this,
well then.
I'll level up once. Oh, I only need 16. There's only one off. Okay. Alright, well I don't need to consume any consumables.
Farewell, Ashen One.
Alright, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go get my flash reinforced Andre, and then I think I'll call this one here.
Pretty be careful. I go.
Alright, I feel like that's a pretty good start. But, yeah. That's gonna be it for now, I guess.